Right, welcome back. Following on from the last episode, still in the engine, still more to do. I say the crank obviously is out. I've got to strip that down. I haven't had a chance to actually look for a starter clutch repair kit. I will have a look online. I want to actually get the bearing out which sits on the other end of this shaft, which is actually just in there. So I'm going to tap that through, continue on cleaning up the rotor, clean the clutch, etc. But I say there's still lots and lots of jobs, but the main focus at the moment is obviously get that bearing out and then start stripping this down. I have been thinking it's like I'm replacing what I find, but it's where do I draw the line of what do I replace. As I say, I want to replace that bearing. I'm really not sure about these double bearings. They are expensive. I say just for literally that bearing and that bearing, that's over £100. I mean, I'm trying to replace what I need to. I think I am going to replace these shells. It's out, I may as well. But as I say, I'm going to take the con rods apart. There are shells inside there, I'm going to have a look at them. Primary chain, as I say, I may have to replace it, I don't know. It did look a bit stretched. One thing I did notice, I didn't realise until I actually got the cam chain out. So let me focus that round. No, if you can actually see. Right, they are split links. This chain has been split twice, which is quite concerning. They go in the light, you can see they're a totally different colour. I mean, obviously I can understand one. Let's bring that up again. I can understand one of these because obviously not everybody wants to take their engine completely apart just to change the cam chain. I wanted to investigate this engine anyway, so it was coming out. So I can understand that somebody's actually split the chain, connected it to the old one, fed it through, and then re-riveted the link and put that back together. The only thing I can work out from this is that obviously this chain is stretched, somebody split it, taken some links out, and then re-put another rivet in. But yeah, that was a bit of an eye-opener. So still to make a decision on the primary chain, I'm going to have a look at pricing, etc. Still got the, as I say, I've still got the starter clutch repair kit. I'll have a look at that online, try and get one of them ordered, get that in. And then it is basically clean up, clean and refurbish as much as I can. The cases I'm actually going to spray. So that one's roughly in the same place you saw it last time. That I need to clean up. The first job I want to do is to see if I can tap that bearing out. Right, I've already started knocking it through, so it is actually, you can see my finger there, it is actually starting to come through. I'm just using an oversized socket in the centre and just tapping that through. That's nearly out. Oh, there we go. Right, and that's that one out. So I'm going to replace that. I've got a replacement for it. There is a slight movement in that. Right, so that one was obviously that shaft slotted through. So I'll just loosely put that on. Yeah, there is some movement in that. A little bit on the one the other end, so I've got to try and work out how to get that one off, but that one can be replaced. I believe that's a 6304 C2 bearing, so a new one of that will go in. Alright, so next I'll start disassembling this crank. Right, so I've undone the two nuts. That's the first one out. There is some scoring on the shells. So I may look into replacements, have a look, see how much they cost. So that's the first one out. So that's two out, two to go. That's basically exactly the order that everything came out. So when I go to put this back together, I say it's going to have a good clean. Just check everything through, make sure there's no damage, no score marks. Get the con rods clean up. Right, so I've moved the crank just to one side for now. I want to start looking at this secondary shaft that I've still got laid out in the same order. Obviously that bearing is going to be replaced. I need to get that bearing off. If you remember, there's a needle bearing inside the starter clutch. So I've got a new bearing and also a starter clutch repair kit. That's the model for, well, that's the part number for this particular kit, which is inside there. So I'm going to start taking this apart. There's a circlip on the end. So I'm going to take that out and basically strip this out and leave it all in a row. Obviously the other thing I'll be using, I've actually put it to the right page. You can see there the actual breakdown of the starter clutch and the secondary shaft. So you've got your circlip there, which is that, and then working your way through, and there are the actual parts that I'm going to replace. So let's take this apart. it comes. Right, that's the needle roller that I need to replace. Alright, so undo these three next. Alright, managed to loosen these off. I had to clamp it in the vise with some cloth around it, so they're quite tight. Right, that's literally come out. In bits. That one's still intact. Right, there's a washer. And according to the diagram, that should split apart. Right, for the centre bit, I've actually just used a little block of wood and just tapped that. It's actually started to push this back. Right, there we go. Well, they're quite worn and deteriorated. As you can see, most of it's falling apart. Looking at the diagram, it's that part there. So that's the part we've just taken out. So it looks like I'm going to have to get replacements of these. Clean all that up. Yeah, because it's actually everywhere, so I need to clean all this out. I need to have a look as well to find out if that was actually an O-ring. By the looks of it, it was, so that'll be a replacement part. Again, referring back to the diagram, it looks like it possibly is an O-ring in there. I need to check that out, but they need to be replaced. And that needs a good clean out. So push that to one side and then take this apart so I can fit the new starter repair clutch kit, or starter clutch repair kit I should say. Alright, just using an old toothbrush basically just to get it clean through. Some of these holes are actually blocked, that one. Right, so that's cleaned up. Let's get that inside to do. Right, and then the same for this one. Gives this a real good clean up. Right, just giving these a wipe down, and as you can see, there's visible chunks. Well, that's what's come off, and most of that came out of here and off here. So those two have now been cleaned. I just need to clean the bench up. Now I can start taking these apart. I mean, they literally just pull out. And there's the spring. And then we give all this a good clean up. Then I can fit the new parts. Obviously I can't put this back together yet, so I'm going to put the needle bearing to one side, because obviously I need to look for these parts. I didn't realise they were as bad as this, so I'll see if I can find these. Alright, so these are my old parts that came out. Just leave them to one side. I've also bagged up almost like a sort of a cush drive. I bagged them up for now, so I'll look for replacements for that. Alright, so the new kit, let's lay this one out. Alright, so that's everything. So you've got a hole just in there. It's the same on all three. So it's literally spring. Pops in. That is basically it. So let's just repeat the process. Made sure I gave this a good clean out first. And it just slots in. So that's the new assembled parts. That's the kit number if anybody wants one. You can find these online. And then I don't need So I'm kind of stuck at the moment on the secondary shaft and the start clutch mechanism, because obviously I need to have a look for these, but everything's been taken out, everything's cleaned. Obviously remember, don't lose the washer off the top, and that's all basically in order. So when it goes back together, the only thing I've got to do is get that bearing off and replace that bearing. I've got a replacement for that one. Alright, managed to get the bearing off. Used one of the pullers with the, like a claw. I've got a small, like 3-legged puller, so that's managed to pull that off, giving that a clean up. So that's going to be replaced. But basically everything now is in the order it came out in. So that's being replaced, that's being replaced, that bearing's being replaced. Start clutch is already obviously repaired. I can't really go much further without them like cush drives that sit inside this unit. So I'll have a search for them online. But it is slowly coming together, getting things apart. Alright, so thanks for joining me on that one. So I couldn't actually get any further because obviously I need to research them parts and have a look online, see if I can find them, see if they're still available. But they obviously need to be replaced, so obviously I can then, if I can source them, then obviously I can then start putting back together that secondary shaft, and I can start putting that back in. But it's nice to actually see a complete breakdown of how everything goes. That's why I've laid it out in the way I have. So, well, hopefully that was helpful. It helped me, so hopefully it helps you. But as I say, these are what are helping a great deal, because you can actually break down how it goes together. So I highly recommend printing off the feast pictures, and obviously I've still got the 2 manuals as well for reference. As usual, subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner, so please like and subscribe. Link to my Patreon in the bottom left hand corner, so if you wish to help and support the channel, then please click that link. It will take you to the my actual Patreon page. Also got a link in the description below to Tip Cup, so if you just like a video and you want to drop £1 or $1 in my Tip Cup, links below. So I appreciate any help and support I get. It does mean so much, and it helps my channel. It helps me buy all the smaller bits that I need to keep going, basically. Links to other videos top left and top right, and join me again next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.